What is happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves DICELINGS Owlbear. Now, we did recently take a look at the Beholder and you guys seem to really like it, and to be honest, I was pretty impressed, but the price point here in the UK I think is a little off. I know in the States you guys get these for about $13, which I think is wicked, whereas here it translates to about £16, which is roughly $20 US. So definitely a bit of an increase, but still a decent figure. So here we have the Owlbear. This is specifically based on the upcoming live action movie. So very exciting things. It's a big year for Hasbro and live action beasts in general, especially if you're a fan of Transformers. But here for the box art, we have a cool image there of the Owlbear. We also do get some nice artwork. We do get the Scan Me for more here along the side. Here it is in the D20, and as we come around to the back, we get some product shots which showcase it in the dice as well as the beast mode. And this transforms in a whopping 8 steps. So a little more complex when in comparison to the simple 6 steps that we saw from the Beholder. And to be honest, I definitely think the beast mode pays off. It does look a little more impressive. So that pretty much wraps it up here for the box. Here we have the Owlbear in its D20. Now, as you would expect, pretty much identical to the Beholder, this time just cast in grey plastic and without the scaly, bubbly, gruesome texture that we had from this guy. Sadly, none of the inscriptions nor numerals have been painted, and I think that would have been so cool just to apply a bit of a wash just to pick out some of the sharper details of the sculpt. But considering how this thing splits apart, I do think it actually comes together pretty nicely. Now, I did see a few of you guys comment in the Beholder review whether or not you could use this as an actual dice, and I'm going to be honest and say probably not. I mean, due to the weight being more centered to the left side, it would probably make it an unfair game. But I mean, technically, if you wanted to just throw this around, I guess you could. We get so many numerals on this, as well as the D&D logo, which is pretty sweet. So we're just going to get stuck straight into the transformation. So first of all, you're going to want to find the number 8. Once you get that, we can then split this section here and lift it up, and then we have the Owlbear peeking through. You'll then want to split this here in half, and we do get these double hinge joints, which are actually pinned on, which I think is a godsend. So what that will allow us to do is just straighten all of these out. We can then take the body and rotate this section here all the way around. You'll then want to take this piece, bring this up and over, and just collapse it along the back. We can now take the knee joints, fold these forwards, rotate the feet around, and do the exact same here for this side. So just bring these down. Now we come to the arms, which are actually pretty involved. So split this section here, take the claw, bring this forward, rotate this section around, take this piece, collapse it so that it sits flush along what I presume would be the wing or the forearm. We can then take this here, fold this down, and that is one of the arms complete. Do the exact same here for this side. So take this section, fold that there, bring this around, flip out the claw, rotate this section, and then just snap that there. And there we have the Owlbear transformed up into its beast mode, and definitely a lot more impressive when in comparison to the Beholder, and like I said, definitely a little more complex. Kind of reminds me of a deluxe scale Transformer if you were going by that standard. But as we take a look at the details, very nicely painted head. I mean, that looks so sick. Really like the sculpt work. I also like the wash that they've kind of given some of the feathers as well. That's a pretty sweet touch, and you can see that present here along the side of the arm, and the claws as well have actually been painted and sculpted pretty decently. So here for the chest, as you guys can see, overall not looking too bad for something which essentially transforms into a dice. It's actually pretty impressive, and I think the weathering effect that we have here on the feet looks pretty sick, and we get the same amount of paint on this arm as we did on the other one. And we also do get some paintwork here on the back, which for this I was not expecting at all. Now, as we jump into articulation, way more articulated than the Beholder. So we do get a ball joint here out of the actual owl head, so this can rotate all the way around. It can look up and down, which is really nice. We do get some ball joints here as well as hinge joints in the shoulders, so you get a great range out of them. You can literally move them any way that you want, as well as a full ball joint here out of the elbow. So again, full rotation, can hinge back and forth, and the palm can kind of hinge forwards and backwards due to transformation, and we do get a tiny bit of wrist rotation due to the conversion. So here for the legs, these are also on ball joints. They'll kick forwards and backwards slightly, not to the best range going outwards, but that's just due to transformation. We do get some tiny little kind of clicky knees, so they can bend roughly to 90, and then finally the feet are on ball joints, so they can move in any way that you guys would want. So definitely a lot more advanced than the Beholder, and certainly one of the coolest dicelings that I've picked up so far. So in terms of some comparisons, we have the Owlbear compared alongside the Beholder, and just in general, this is way more fun to mess around with. Not only is it a lot more articulated, but in terms of its kind of beast mode, looks so much cooler. I mean, you literally wouldn't think from a frontal perspective this could transform into a dice. So from an engineering perspective, they have done a pretty decent job. Here they are from a side perspective, and you can just see kind of all of the dice pieces here at the back, which didn't look the best. This was definitely one of the more simplistic, I think, out of the first wave. And in terms of another live action movie comparison, Here we have the Owlbear alongside the Rise of the Beasts Studio Series Air Razor. Just for you Transformers fans, you can kind of gather a sense of perspective in terms of the deluxe, and I would imagine this would probably classify as a small deluxe or maybe a core class, but still, definitely a pretty decent size. I mean, this Air Razor is a very big beast mode for a deluxe figure, so yeah, this definitely isn't slacking in the scale department. Now, transformation back from Beast into Dice mode, to be honest, is a lot more complicated, at least in my opinion, when in comparison from going to Dice to Beast form. So, to kickstart things off, what I like to do is just bend the knees and then rotate the feet around. Do the same here for this side. It just helps to get them out of the way for later steps. We're then going to come here to the wings, which, to be honest, can be a little daunting at first. So, bring this panel out, bring this section out, and then rotate here at this piece and collapse the hand inward. So you can kind of see where everything is roughly going to go. I mean, I guess this configuration kind of looks like it's transformed into a shield when in battle, so that doesn't look too bad. We can do the same here for this side, so bring this panel up and do the same for this section. Rotate this around and just collapse the claw inwards. What you'll now want to do is bring this back piece up, and the head is actually on a hinge joint, so this entire piece is going to come all the way forward, and that will allow us to then rotate the body back into its original position. So once you've got something like this, I mean, to be fair, it's pretty straightforward from here onwards. You'll just want to collapse these double hinge joints in upon themselves. So just give them there a good old squeeze, and then we can bring this down, and it really is just a matter of aligning all of the panels up appropriately. So this can be a little tedious to do, I won't lie, but basically just make sure that all of the tabs go into their specific slots, and you should be pretty good to go. And then just close up the underside. So again, just give everything a good squeeze, and there we have the Owlbear back in its D20 dice mode. So definitely a decent transformation, and one which I think we can all agree on is a lot more involved when in comparison to the Beholder. So that pretty much wraps up my review here for the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves Dicelings Owlbear. Overall, a very cool figure. I mean, like I said, probably the best out of the wave in my opinion. I also have the Rakor Dragon, so if you want a review for that, definitely be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And what do you guys think of these Dicelings as a whole? Would you like to see the rest of the figures over on the channel? And if they bring out a wave 2, would you guys also like me to check them out? As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.